Hi gang, Mr. G here. Today is Thursday, March 26th, and my beard is coming in okay. I think it's day 7 now of the great goatee experiment. It's a little scruffy, starting to soften up just a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how long this lasts. Today we're going to talk about how a song that you suggest becomes a steel band arrangement. So I've had this question from several of you before about the things that I use, the tools that I use to do this, and what all is involved in arranging music for steel band, or for any group for that matter. So I wanted to tell you, first of all, what an arranger is. A arranger is a person who takes an existing song and creates all of the notes and rhythms and puts it on paper for a certain type of musical ensemble. So a lot of the songs we play weren't originally done by steel band, and it's my job to make them fit into the steel band. That's one of the things I do. So sometimes you guys suggest a song, sometimes I have songs that I discover myself, and then I'm also a composer. So sometimes I get original ideas in my head, and then I have to, after I've firmed up those ideas, then I have to become the arranger for those ideas as well. When you suggest a song, or when I'm thinking of a song that I want to do, there's a couple of criteria that I look for here. The song should have at least 2 contrasting sections, kind of like a verse and a chorus. It shouldn't rely too much on lyrics or spoken word, because it's not going to have lyrics or spoken word when we play it in the steel band. So it has to have a strong, melody and harmonies. That means interesting chords, so that the song can sort of stand on its own as a steel band arrangement. I always like to think that the arrangements that I create should, and the songs that we choose, should sound good to an audience that's never heard that song before or is unfamiliar with that song, so that it stands on its own like that. So today I have selected a song that's sort of been on my list of things that I might want to arrange eventually for steel band. This is a song from the 1960s, from when I was a kid, and it's called Downtown, and it was made famous by Petula Clark. And this is just sort of a simple pop tune from the 1960s, and I'll play a little sample of it here for you. I'm going to make, just for this demonstration, we're going to just do one section that's taken from the middle of the song. There's actually a little introduction and some other stuff, but I'm just going to take one section. This particular song has like 4 short little sections. But we're just going to do one of them just so you can see how this all goes together. The tool that I use, and it's very careful to use this word tool, it's a computer program. The tool I use is a computer program called Finale. And there's a couple of sort of big name computer programs out there for music notation. Finale is one, Sibelius is the other, and I believe there are simplified versions of both of these programs available for a lot cheaper than these programs are. I have boxes full of handwritten scores and parts out in my garage, because when I started to be a composer and an arranger, we didn't have computer programs, we didn't have computers at home, and so everything was done by hand. And I would handwrite a score of all of the parts and everything so I could see them in line. And then after I was done with the score and happy with that, then I would take individual pieces of music manuscript paper and I would sit down and I would copy each line individually onto their own part. Well, one of the things that this computer program will do for me is take all of those individual lines and from the score and actually create parts from them. So in that way, this computer program is kind of handling a lot of my grunt work for me. It's kind of like a word processing program, because you can go in and edit, you can do a lot of things. you still have to enter all the words, right? And I still have to enter all the notes, but it makes it faster later. The computer does not make any musical decisions for me, right? I still have to enter everything, and there's still a lot of decisions that I make in this process. It allows me to copy and paste things. I can copy something onto one part, and I can paste it into another part. I can change the octaves. There's some things like that that allows me to do. But basically, it's there just so that I don't have to do as much of this all the time. So I've made a template for all of the songs that we do, and you probably recognize some of what that looks like there. It's empty right now. There's no music in there. And I have a separate line for each part. I got tenor pan, double tenor, double seconds, guitar, tenor bass, and six bass. And I got a little drum set down here and a drum set playback. And that's just for when I want to create an audio file. I have that there. I'm not going to do that for this one. And then I have sounds that are pre-assigned for steel drum. So it allows me to kind of hear it sort of like it will eventually be. It's not the greatest steel pan sound, but it works. So the next thing I need to decide is if it's going to be a 5-voice arrangement or a 4-voice arrangement. And I'm going to do a 4-voice arrangement for this one. 4 voices gets rid of the double tenor part. And then what I have left is tenor pan and double seconds or doubles, right? Because that way all the doubles can play the same part. Guitar, which is also guitar and cello, tenor bass and six bass. And tenor bass and six bass will have the same part, but sometimes I'll have to take some of the notes up an octave for the tenor bass. Okay, so here's what this song sounds like.
Don't hang around and let your problems surround you. There are movie shows downtown. Maybe you know some little places to go to where they never close. Downtown, just...
That's the little snippet that we're going to arrange. So the next task that we have before us is transcribing or transcription. And transcribing is when you take the music that you are hearing and you're able to write it down. Now, some of you have come into Steel Band before and plinked out some melody that is familiar to you, and that is a form of transcription by ear. The full step involves actually writing it down and notating it. Now, this skill takes a lot of years of training and practice to develop, and some people just sort of have an innate ability to pick stuff out by ear. But it also requires an understanding of music theory, which is the study of chords and harmony and melody and how they all work together. If you have that skill in addition to the ear to transcribe the melodies, then you get very fast at beginning to write down your ideas or write down other people's songs. And so I've been doing this for, 40 some year, 45, 50 years. So, I've just gotten really fast at it, and if I'm arranging my own song, it's the same process, right? All right, so I've done a couple of things in advance already here. I've identified that the song that we're going to arrange is in the key of E flat, or 3 flats. Now, for those of you that don't know what a key is, I could play Happy Birthday in, many different keys. Let's see here. Okay, that's the key of C. I could do it in the key of E flat. I could do it in the key of G. I need to practice that one. Right? So there's different keys, and I can make it higher or lower just based on what how things sound in different instruments and everything. But we're going to stick with the original key with this song. It's in the key of E flat, and so I have entered the key of E flat, which is 3 flats, right here in the key signature. And I've also said that it's going to be in 4/4 time, and then I've also said that it is a 1960s pop, and this is the tempo right here. Quarter note equals 118. That means there's 118 quarter notes that happen per minute. Now, the next thing I want to do is identify any really iconic parts. Like it might have a really cool bass line, or it might have some sort of counter melody that's really important. Obviously, the melody is the most important thing. That's the part that people hum. So I have to honor the melody and make sure that that's rendered faithfully. If there's a specific, really iconic part in there, I want to make sure that I capture that. A good example of that would be our song September that a lot of our groups do. And that has a really iconic bass line that I wanted to make sure was incorporated into the arrangement. And it just so happened that the lowest note of the bass line is B flat, which is the lowest note of the bass, sixth bass, and the highest note was an E flat, which is the highest note of a sixth bass. So that locked me into a key. I couldn't move it up or down from there because I wanted to preserve that bass line. So sometimes the key that I choose is impacted by what certain parts are and what instruments I'm going to put them on. Okay, so now that I've made these decisions about the tempo and the key signature and the time signature and all of that, let's go back to Petula here and let's see if I can pick out this melody. And I'll be standard about this, and I'll just put this melody in the tenor pans for now. Let's see what this sounds like.
Don't hang around and let your problems surround you. There are movie shows downtown. Maybe you know some little places to go to where they never close. Downtown.
All right, so it's the same thing twice. I had to listen to that a couple of times, but it's identical. It's the same phrase twice. And this is it. That's what that melody is. And I'm going to go ahead and add my rolls because I know that I want rolls here. Okay. So there's that. I also happen to know that it happens twice, right? It repeats. So we're going to just take this whole thing and we're going to copy and paste it over here. So there it is. That's twice. And this will be the next section over here. This is probably going to be letter A, but there's an intro on this. This is just for demonstration purposes. So, all right. So next I'm going to listen to the bass and just see what the bass is doing here. And there's a clue at the beginning of the song that I'm not going to get back into, but I think it's a really simple bass line.
Don't hang around and let your problems surround you. There are movie shows downtown.
Yep, this is really hard to hear, but it's in the piano part. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and add a note here to this bass line. Let's make that one go down an octave. All right, and then we're going to copy and paste that to the tenor bass up here. And then I have to take some of these notes and take them up an octave because they're out of range. So there's the tenor bass. And then again, this happens twice, so I can copy and paste that over. And I'm going to save my file here. So let's see what that sounds like. Now that sounds a little weird because we don't have the chords in there yet. So let's go back and let's find out what's going on in the middle.
Don't hang around and let... Problems surround you, there are movie shows downtown.
All right, I can hear a couple of things going on here. So in the guitar pan, we can play some of these chords. I'm going to try to do it the way it's on the record there. Let's figure out what's in that gap. There's got to be something in that gap, right?
Don't hang around and let your problems surround you. There are movie shows.
It's ba-bum. So I left out a little something here. Yeah, and I'll fix that in the tenor bass as well. Sometimes I make little mistakes like that, and I kind of, just have to go back over and fill it in. So this thing now, and I'll just go ahead and paste this in here just to make sure that we get that done. All right, so let's listen. Okay, that sounds all right. I'm going to copy and paste that since that's twice. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy this to this, and I'm going to have them play this an octave lower. That should be nice. Yeah, that's not bad. So go ahead and give these guys that, like this. All right, so here's my section, and for demonstration purposes, this will work. So that's going to work out okay for now for our demonstration purposes. Now I'm going to take these notes that you see here, and I'm going to show you how it becomes a part. And I have this, I can just go in, I'll just show you in here, I can just edit part. I can go to tenor pan and look at it in page view like this. Oh, I never gave it the title. Let's give it a title. There we go. So now I can look at it in page view like this. And when there's more music, of course, there will be more music on all of these pages. But as I go down, you can see that I've got double seconds part is here, the beginning of that. And here's the beginning of the guitar cello part. And, I can lay these things out the way I want to. It's called formatting or page layout. And that's what I'm doing now, is to make them look evenly spaced and all of that stuff. So that is a little bit about the process that I go through in order to take a song and turn it into a steel band arrangement. It's work that I enjoy doing very much. So that's it for today. I am not sure what I have next on my list for videos to create for you, but you can look for that in 3 or 4 days. Hopefully you have been working on your testimonial video that you're going to be sending in to us. So don't forget about that. By Friday, April 3rd, you want to have your testimonial video to us, and then that way we can start using that for fundraising. And I guess that's it for now. So I'm just going to say, ciao. Forget all your cares, so go